Donald Trump has spent his entire presidency very intentionally attacking and erasing Black history across the country, which is why it is no surprise that Donald Trump wanted to present his own version of Black history today at a Black History Month event at the White House. And that version is one in which everybody loves Trump, he's the greatest guy in the world, and it's the left-wing media that portrayed him as this nasty, racist guy, which is difficult for Donald Trump to make that argument as he went on a racist diatribe that we are going to get into. It was a mess of an event. It started with Donald Trump bragging about his ballroom, then talking about how the 2020 election was stolen, but quickly got to Donald Trump threatening the entire city of Atlanta, and get this, them and they and those people. It wasn't great.
Need a little help. You need help in Atlanta. He just said, you're right, Atlanta, we could take care of Atlanta. I'll tell you what, you ought to get them to call me. We could take care of Atlanta so fast. They don't want to call. They don't want to call because they don't want to admit it, and they'll never fix it themselves. Don't forget, we move people out. We don't just go in and, be tough guys. We move people out. We take career criminals and we get them out. We bring them back to the country from where they came. And think of it, 90% of the crime is caused by 2% of the people. Think of it. So when you get the criminals out, you solve a lot of problems.
What are we doing? I don't even know why I ask these questions anymore. What are we doing? He's just feeling so insignificant lately. I hate to, armchair psychologize this guy who has a million different medical conditions, but it's really just the fact that Donald Trump feels weak that he does this. It's part of his broader authoritarian project, expanding the control that he has over a militarized police state. But I always go back, and anyone who watches this show regularly knows that I go back to that moment when Donald Trump had the Florida Panthers, the Stanley Cup champions, just a couple of weeks ago at the White House, and said, well, quite frankly, you're so big and strong, but I have the U.S. military, so we're going to do that. How about that? And it's the same thing right now. Donald Trump posts some disgusting racist shit about the Obamas. People, including those in his own party, call him racist. He feels weak. He feels like they're attacking me. And so Donald Trump, at a Black History Month event, goes, well, how about we invade Atlanta and then they'll really see. That is what it is about for Donald Trump. It's also as simple as him trying to make the case for him not being a racist by listing off his black friends.
Mike Tyson, boy, I tell you, Mike has been loyal to me. Whenever they come out, they say, Trump's a racist. It's like a statement. Trump's a racist. Mike Tyson goes, he's not a racist. He's my friend. He's been there from the beginning, good times and bad. But Mike Tyson's a great guy, and he was so loyal, always been loyal.
Well, Mike Tyson loves me, and we made a video punching donuts. If you didn't see the donut punching video, it was great because when Michelle Obama, a black woman, decides that we want healthy lunches, then it's communism and she's terrible. But when I do it, it's fantastic. See, I'm not racist. Do we not see? Do we not see? When RFK Jr. is like in the brain worm through a speech about how we're gonna, take the fluoride out of the water and then feed people like M&Ms with the color removed. He's the second coming. But when Michelle Obama says, "Do you know what'd be good? How about we get 30 minutes of exercise, have a couple of carrots, maybe some broccoli, and I don't know, a little bit less bread," then she's the Antichrist. I think we know why. I think we can kind of square that. But Donald Trump, again, he's got black friends, so he's a great guy, and he just kept listing them, even though he doesn't really know what their job is in his administration.
Always been loyal. And Herschel Walker, speaking about loyal, how good a football player was Herschel? Herschel Walker, now he's ambassador to the Bahamas. I don't know, Bahamas, Bermuda, is he Bahamas, whatever. It's nice. A nice place. You'd like that, Bruce, wouldn't you? Bruce wants it.
We love Herschel. We don't know why we love him, but we do, and he loves me. What does he do? Is he in Barbuda? We love Barbuda. It's the Bahamas. It's which Hamas. I love them all, and they love me. It's idiotic. It's idiotic at this point. He does it to himself, but it didn't stop there. Again, Donald Trump had to talk about all his black friends. Make the case for why Donald is not a racist, and then he got really weird with it, talking about Nicki Minaj. Yeah, this was maybe the worst of them all.
Soldiers, good stuff, right? From jazz to the blues, that you do get recognition for. Jazz, the blues, from rock and roll to rap, black artists like Chuck Berry, Muddy Waters. How about Nicki Minaj? Do we love Nicki Minaj? Right? I love Nicki Minaj. She was here a couple of weeks ago. She's so beautiful. Her skin's so beautiful. I said, Nicki is so beautiful. Her nails are like that long. I said, Nicki, are they real? She said, she didn't want to get into that. But she was so beautiful and so great. And she gets it, more importantly, frankly, she gets it. But black leaders.
Who wrote this speech? It clearly wasn't Stephen Miller. Like, Stephen Miller could not write positive things about people of color, no matter how much you paid him. But Donald Trump goes, we love Mike Tyson because he loves me. We love Herschel Walker because he's doing a great job in whatever job I gave him. And then we get to Nicki Minaj and it's, she has great skin. You love the skin. Oh God, I don't even know at this point. I don't even know. The nails bit is just ridiculous. Is that the only thing that he asked about? If it's real, I'm not even gonna get into that. What a weirdo. This was just a very weird Trump event. And I mean cognitive event that he had. I'm not even talking about the event at the White House. He was just kind of freewheeling. There was a lot of call and response from the crowd of Donald Trump just trying to say, look at all these people, they love me, it's totally fine. But we know what his real intentions have been when it comes to Black Americans and Black history. Donald Trump wants to erase Black history because it is the playbook that he has used for his broader attacks on Americans. The police state that Donald Trump is trying to build is one that has been inflicted on Black and brown people throughout American history. It is the reason for its creation. Oppression is the reason. And so when you have people who say, I couldn't have imagined all that we've seen from the secret police violating people's rights, banging down their doors, killing them in the streets, we should look to Black history. Because I don't want to say it gives us the keys, but it certainly gives us the answers and the leaders who championed civil rights and won fights against tyrannical governments seeking to oppress them in the United States. Because they were tyrannical and authoritarian to Black Americans. So that's why Donald Trump has worked so hard to attack this history. But he is losing in that attack. And that is something we should certainly celebrate this month. And Rachel Maddow, she broke it all down.
Now, you've probably heard about the fact that over this past year, President Donald Trump ordered the physical removal of all references to slaves and slavery at that National Historic Site. Well, today, a big change in that case. Today, happy President's Day, a federal judge in the Eastern District of Pennsylvania ordered that the Trump administration must put those references to slaves and slavery back up. The judge in the case is a Republican appointee from the George W. Bush administration, and she starts her remarkable ruling today with a quote from 1984 from George Orwell. She then says, quote, as if the Ministry of Truth in George Orwell's 1984 now existed with its motto, ignorance is strength. This court is now asked to determine whether the federal government has the power it claims to dissemble and disassemble historic truths when it has some domain over historical facts. It does not. Honestly, this is your President's Day present this year, this ruling. Let me give you a little bit more from it. The President's House, meaning that site in Philadelphia, represents the city of Philadelphia fulfilling an obligation to tell the truth, the whole complicated truth. Removal of the crucial interpretive materials there strips that site of that truth and deprives the public of educational opportunities designed to be free and accessible. The abrupt elimination of historically significant educational material at the site is like pulling pages out of a history book with a razor. Each person who visits the president's house in Philadelphia and does not learn of the realities of founding-era slavery receives a false account of this country's history. Worse yet, the judge says, worse yet, the potential of having the exhibits replaced by an alternative script, a plausible assumption at this time, would be an even more permanent rejection of the site's historical integrity. It would be, quote, irreparable. The city has met its burden to establish irreparable harm. The defendants, the Trump administration, for their part, raise only one argument for why an injunction in this case would be inequitable. They argue that there's a public interest in upholding the federal government's right to convey its preferred speech. Restoration of the president's house in Philadelphia does not infringe upon the government's free speech, nor is the government prevented from conveying whatever message it wants to send by wiping away the history of the greatest founding father's management of persons he held in bondage. President Washington's house would not merit designation as a historic site if Washington had not commanded the army that won the Revolutionary War. His presence presiding over the Constitutional Convention graced it with the gravitas and spirit necessary to the creation of our government's foundational document. Washington's restraint and modesty radiated strength and wisdom that defines the ideal chief executive to this day. The government can convey a different message without restraint elsewhere if it so pleases, but it cannot do so to the president's house. Not until it follows the law and consults with the city. The motion for preliminary injunction will be granted.
Donald Trump wants us stupider. He certainly wants us to be more hateful. That is his goal. That is ultimately what helps him more than anything in achieving his authoritarian aims. This is a man who is a trickster. He is a fraud. He is a liar. And he needs a very dumb audience to continue to succeed. That is what Donald Trump is ultimately after. A dumber audience that he can keep surveillance over. So much of the administration's actions have to do with those things. Muddying the waters on what is true or not, whether it be the Epstein files or economic data, at the same time as they want to track and pick and choose what we do and do not get to see. So they want the world that we exist in to be one that we question, sometimes when we should. They don't want us to. But when we shouldn't question the world, they want us to. They want us uncertain, they want us angry, they want us turned against each other. And other times, they just want to make sure that they can keep a nice watchful eye. And that is an incredibly scary reality, one that we got to fight back against, one that we got to call out. We are certainly going to on this show. If you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Keep on fighting, y'all. Don't let them silence you. Until next time, I'll see you soon.